First thing, checking out getting into butterfly guard position, we'll contextualize it with a few different entries, okay? So first one, let's say my partner's here on side control. So as always, I want to have a good frame. Okay, make sure your elbows are in. And then from here, my main thing is just looking to get my bottom leg in like I'm going to pull closed guard, but instead I'm just looking for the hook. And a lot of times this may be easier for you to access than trying to get back to a full guard. So from here, John's got a good position, right? I want to catch him as early as possible. Right now he's already chest to chest, but from here I do a little bit of a bridge, okay, with my frame, okay, always get the good position. And as I move out here, this is just a momentary gap so that I can move myself in to here. This one comes across, and then I insert my hook, okay, just a little adjustment, and now I can start to sit up, okay. So the degree or extent to which your legs are getting trapped in there by your partner, who's also going to be moving, not just sitting there like a mannequin, means how much more I may need to adjust my hips. Okay, but if you start to feel like you don't quite have enough space, just move your hips a little bit more. Okay, so again, checking here on the hip. This one is up. Okay, grabbing on the trap. I don't want to push with it. I'm trying to create a lever. So from here, bridge, move out. I come in. Once I have this, got a little bit of an X on John's body, right? So I know I can track him moving in either direction. I frame here momentarily, okay, because I know he's going to be trying to beat that hook real quick. Okay, as he does, I still know where he's at. Now, I ride up on that hook and sit into my position. Okay, so as I come in here, I'll be looking for that underhook. My hand's coming in here. If I wanted to make sure he doesn't quickly go that way, I may even grab. But now I'm just finding the position, okay? So that's what I want you guys to try. Just switch the angle real quick. Okay, from here, the earlier the better. Right now it's going to be a little tougher, but always controlling my points. Okay, bridge, move out, come in. I'm immediately feeling for where John's at. So we've got this little X on him. Okay, if he tries to run that way, my foot's here. If he tries to go this way, my hand's here and my hook is in. So all I'm going to do is sit up here and find my position off that motion. Okay, that's number one. So let's just try that. You can do it a few times and then switch back and forth on your own. Okay, so very closely related, this time half guard. I'm going to go through the whole progression of building frames with a play between my my femur and my upper body frames. So whatever I'm doing in here, okay, whether kind of playing like this game in here, or I'm playing with the X frame, which I primarily like if he's trying to be really heavy on me with his upper body. Always, by the way, making sure that your primary frame here is, or your pressure is from your shoulder to your elbow. This is only secondary. You can't rely on this. Somebody can power through that. So my main line of force is this to keep him off me. If I rely on just my forearm, he's going to crush that. Okay, so the line of pressure, just so you feel this before you do anything else, if John's driving into me, is this way. See the little shift? And this is just kind of taking up the slack. Keep that arm off. Good. Now, so from here, John's got this. If he's already tight on me from here, notice that I've unlocked my legs, okay, and my foot right here is just, if I don't have a figure four, my foot is just tracking. I'll turn the angle and show that in a second, but he's already down on me, so I unlock my legs, get a little bump, okay, and as my hips come down, I keep this extension. This one's off. Now I can put my knee into here, okay. He's still driving into me. I may need to lock that up, extend away, okay. Once I extend away, very easy for me to drop that hook in, comparatively, right. I don't have to be flexible to do this. Whereas if I'm playing a game like this where John's really tight to me, okay, like say you're flattened out, like you're really playing that game like he's trying. No, I scoot out, I have to have a little bit of flexibility, even with good hip movement, to drop that hook in. When I do it this way, I can be kind of tight in the hips and the knees and still make it work. Okay, so, boom, get that out. Knee in the notch of the hip, lock, extend away. Put that in, okay? So build that incrementally. Let's look at it from the other side. So here. So whatever position I have, check it out just for a second. So this foot comes and traps the foreleg. I know if he's gonna try and make a quick move to like pop his knee through or something like that, I can feel it and adjust. Okay, now from here he's got pressure on me, so I unlock, this one goes to the mat, go bump. As my hips go away, I extend that frame. This hand's just to keep the arm away. Now I drop the knee inside the notch of the hip, but I need to make it a little stronger. Okay, he's a very strong passer, so then I lock big toe over pinky toe. Okay, so the first motion I did was opening up hip space. Once this frame is here, now I move my upper body, come away. Get a little post behind me. Now I have a lot of space. When I'm ready, fell off those feet, drop that in. I sit up to the butterfly hook and pummel inside. I'm going to point out just a couple small things. I think everybody, for the most part, was already working these out, but where I saw a little bit of struggle, I just want to address a couple things. So let's look at this from the opposite angle again, real quick, before I go on to the next one. So what I was saying is, if, let's say you're already kind of smash pass position. So from here, okay, however I have my legs, if I scoot out and then drop my hook in here, you see, even if I have good hip mobility and I'm moving my hips out as much as I can, this still takes a bit of flexibility, right? But when I can use my body, it's like, first you build one bridge, set up base camp. Then you move away from there, right? Set up another, then you build the other bridge, set up base camp. It's like a series of improving your frames. That's what makes everything better. So from here, first thing is to establish my angle. So up, and I get this. So you notice John isn't looming over here where he's going to crush through this. He's out here a little bit. Okay, so I have that. Then I have space to insert this because my hip is here. Now I lock that in, okay? Big bottom toe over top pinky toe. Why not my ankles? Because it's further down in the lever, believe it or not, it's stronger. And now this allows me to extend my body away, okay? Because I built base camp here. Now I've got a nice lean-to effect. My elbow's behind me. Okay, it's not here where I'm going to be driven forward again. I've still got my frame in here. So now I can make that motion to scoot back a little bit and enough space so even if I'm not super flexible, I can drop this in. Now the very last piece from here, the last thing I saw a couple of you having a little trouble with was I don't want to now just throw my arm under and kind of be leaning back because John will drive into me from here and he could pass probably in one step right here if I'm not careful. Granted, I still have my tracking hook in, but that can be beatable when you're in weeble wobble zone here because I'm not here and I'm not here. So what we want to do to police that a little bit is when I move back here, I insert that hook, okay, and I keep my arm as long as I need to know where my gauge is, like how much pressure is he giving me, okay? So I can drop that in if I want to, okay? Do a little switch. Always little adaptations, checks and balances, okay? Drop that in. If I want to come here just to make sure he doesn't backpedal, I can do that. But whatever I do is when I drive into the position, I want to make sure that my butt is a little bit back from my head, okay? If I'm leaning here, I don't have a very strong position. The only time I should really look like this by choice is if I'm in the process of a sweep. Okay. You'll look like that because your partner's giving you real energy moving around. You have to maintain your guard, but you don't want to get into the position like this. See the separation between my knee and my chest? The more separation he gets on me, the more likely it is he's going to pass because he's trying to separate my knees from my chest to pass my guard. So I want to stay up. Okay. So if you need to, drop that hook in, scoot your butt back, and then come in. So when you have that position, you'll be in pretty good shape. Okay? Are there any other questions? Let's go on to the last contextual entry I'm going to cover for today, just because these are so common. So from here, I'm going to have John has already kind of driven into a smash pass position. So speaking of separating knees from chest, I still have my hooks in, but he basically was able to drive his head, flatten me out, or I got lazy, and now we're in this situation where he's got his head centered,
he's collapsing my hooks, and his elbows are tight on my hips, right? So what do I have here? He's already tight, so I can't just easily shuck his head to the side. He's very well advanced with his upper body. His elbows are pinched in tight, giving me no space, so I don't have the mobility to shrimp back and forth to get my hooks out, because John's got his knees pulled in tight, right? So I'm really collapsed in all areas, and now it's just a matter of him not opening up space as he goes to clear his leg or flatten my legs out and come around. So what I want to do from here as early as possible is reverse engineer this, and what you'll find is somebody who's a very tight passer, pushing, shrimping won't work. So instead I want to kind of go with the only way I really have is what he's giving me, which is that collapsing pressure. So John's got his knees pulled up tight from here. I'm going to grab his elbows. There's no space right now, but in a second there will be a little bit, because what I'm actually going to do is pull him up. He wants to pull his knees in. Okay, so I'm actually going to lift him over my hips. Just a little bit like this. So, come back. At the same time I pull, I give a little flare out. It may only be an inch or so that he's going to give me, the strong guy. But there's something about the fact that his structure's coming apart a little bit, that there's always a tiny bit of space. So you pull him in, and then you spit him out. Okay, so super tight. Good, as we come up. You notice that I'm able to scoot into my butterfly position. It's much less likely that I'm going to have an underhook right now. Most likely I'm going to have an overhook variation. That's okay, it still works. I'm still controlling. I still have this hand controlling his other arm if I want to start to go right into a sweep. If I feel like he's adapted well, okay, again I can start to play different variations. But right now it's just getting out of a situation that's basically one step away from being passed and putting it back into a guard again. Time. Okay, this is the first method. So from here, I pull him in, and I immediately kick him up and out, and I'm sitting up at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to give you two methods from here. That one was one. Second one is this, same position. As John starts to come in, I'm going to pick a side. Sometimes you may feel one's a little bit better, like just a little angle of his head, slightly off to one side or the other. From here, see how his chin's pointed that way? I'm going to go with that. That's just like a little cue for me. So I'm going to make my leopard paw strike hand, okay? Not like this, but like this. So I have it as strong as possible, but as thin as possible. And from here, I'm going to bring that right along his lapel line and underneath his neck. Okay? Just like that. And as it comes under and touches his shoulder, I'm going to support it with this other one from here, and then I bridge and I shrimp, and I rebuild that same frame. Backstroke, come on. It's going to lead us right into what does the position options look like when you're in your textbook butterfly position. Where's your head go, where's your grips go, so on and so forth. It's more than one answer. I'll give you the classic, and then a couple variations to play around with. First question, actually, let me grab Kev first, because I want you to do what you just asked me about when I pop you up. So what Kevin was saying was, from here, guys will do this too, and he's going to show you, like, he'll be in my position, pop people up. He's seen this technique before, and he's like, so the guys do this to me, right? So, so keep the butt back and sprawl in, and see he's trying to use his head to keep my upper body and lower body separated. Okay. So, a couple things. Depending on how you get there, again, from that situation, I would probably go right into a whizzer or an overhook. But I'll show you how, even if you want to get an underhook, you can still do it. And again, it all has to do with how you create that base camp. So if you think about the frame, okay, once I have established that, that's my bookmark, then I know I can move away from that. Okay, I've used the analogy before, like you're rock climbing, and you don't have anybody top roping above you. Not that I'm a great rock climber, it's purely theoretical, but you go up and you put some protection in the rock, and then you know that however far you go up past that, if you fall, you can only fall to that protection if it's put in well, right? It's not going to let go. So if I go 10 feet up, I can only fall 10 feet down, and then 10 more feet before the rope catches, because I at least put that protection in, right? So the idea would be to go up far enough that you put in another piece, minimize your risk, go up, put another piece in. So every time I make a frame and I move away from it, Okay, it's like I put in the protection, now I'm advancing, right? So as I do this, okay, come up, he's got that in, right? Number one, I can put in the whizzer, and then from here, as I move out, even though I'm leaning back a little bit, we talked about that can be a problem, at least I have his shoulder driving down, and I can start to create some tilt on his body, so I can start to make his body do this, and potentially go right into a sweep. This is one time where you can be leaning back a little bit when you have that whizzer. The other option, which is what I was talking to him about, that will be a little more universal anytime somebody beats you with head position, is from here, come out, so I come in right here. So even if his head's in, I can do this, right? So this is my protection, this is the frame starting. Now if I push him, he's not going to move, and he's probably going to be in the midst of passing me at that point. But if I put this in and I do this, now all of a sudden look, okay, I'm moving at an angle. Now I drop this in, now my head's coming in, and that's what gives me that little interval. Okay, so there's always the snapshot version, like this is what we do when your partner is being a good demo partner and cooperatively, and then there's the little adaptations. But anytime you need to answer an adaptation question, think about how can I open up space with a frame to usually hip movement relation. Okay, is that pretty clear for everybody? So directly on that line, let's look at the head position options. So one, classic is my butterfly hook is inside his thigh, and right now it's resting on the mat, but do keep in mind that this tracking leg is always going to be traveling. Preferably I don't have it up in his groin though, I want to have it on his inside of his thigh, right? So it can ride up a little bit high sometimes depending on what's going on, but just don't have it in the middle because it's going to be easier for him to beat. And then of course I want to make sure my knee is always pointed up, because as soon as it does this, he can rudder and smash past it. So that's the hook. Okay. Right now I'm going to show it as I talk. You'll see my heel is down because it's comfortable as I talk, but keep in mind as I start to attack his base and kick it out and everything, my leg will be in play, and anytime he goes to try and lose it, I have the tactile sensitivity to follow. Classic variation, underhook. So I come in here, I grab the back of his gi, his belt, if it's tied, so on and so forth, and then my head would be on the far side, slightly under his head, but with good posture, and you'll notice that my hips are slightly back from my head. Okay, so I should have a pretty straight back. I don't want to be all collapsed, but I want to make sure that I'm a little bit underneath him. So the benefit of this position is my shoulder has a really tight seal to Kevin, so there's no way for him to pummel inside here. And it's going to be hard for him really to get any opportunity to snap my head down because my head is high enough, my back is straight enough, but if he tries to get his head in, okay, it should be very difficult. And this is even without me trying to disrupt his base. The other thing is I don't want to be directly in front of him typically once I start to look for sweeps, so I'd be scooting out. And this hand could be grabbing the elbow, the wrist, his pant leg, okay, whatever it is that I need to create that pressure. If he happens to drop his head in here, that's because I made a mistake, right? So what I can do is move myself out slightly. This hand comes in like this. I swipe, drop my head back in, okay? So kind of just do this little swiping motion. Could also come into some different types of attacks I'm not going to go into right now, but that is one answer. But try and make it a habit that you're always head fighting in there to get your head on one side or the other. So again, this is sort of the classic position. I showed it on the other side, coming in from here, okay? You'll notice that my foot is out right now. I like to do that because it's just a little catch in case he tries to make a quick motion, because I've got a bit of a scissor or X position on him right now. It's perfectly acceptable to have your foot inside. The only thing is you want to make sure that you can control your partner's motion in either direction. So I want to make sure that this hand would be ready to do duty on controlling if this foot isn't here. It's just one of those things you want to kind of feel. You always have your control points set up. So that's head on the far side, shoulder in, classic position with an underhook. Okay, if I'm going head on the near side, I could just grab his lat again and have my head in. But what I really want to do is try and treat this like a wrestling single underhook, because this is going to make it as tight as possible. So my hand will come up, I'll grab the actual ball of the deltoid, and then I pull it in. Okay, so you'll see that motion like this. You should see that give. If I just do this, kind of do the motion, it's just sliding. Okay, when I grab this and I pull it in, I can feel a little bit of a Kimura action going on, and that is my counter pressure to my head right here, nice and straight in here. So now I totally cordon off this side of his body. Okay, so that pressure's in there. If he tries to get his head back in, okay, it's very difficult. He can't come under, he can't come over. So now I know I'm accomplishing the same thing that my shoulder was doing when my head was on this side. Okay, everything else the same. And the last variation is if I have a whizzer or overhook. Okay, so from here, the whole thing, I may be again leaning back a little bit more, but what I'm really looking to do isn't to be lazy with it, but more of a twist. So with a gi, I can grab my own gi. I can grab his gi. Okay, this opens up some attacking options too if I want to go for chokes. Or I could even come in here, grab my own thigh, which is what I do with no gi a lot, because the thing is, again, to get that action with the shoulder collapses. So from here, let's see here, for position a little bit, good. Get this and I get that. Okay, so that would be the first part of the motion. I kind of bring him down. The only problem right now is his body's straight, so I would complete that if I'm going to attack with position and sweeps by kicking him out. So now you start to see the shoulders tilt. And I've used these positions so much for so long that sometimes I wonder why I'm not a great judo guy, because it's like the principle of loading and tilt, getting the weight on one side of your body to throw people. It's the same that we're doing right here on our knees with a sweep. But I'm not a great judo thrower. But the principles are the same. It just shows how sport specific everything is. Okay, you get the tilt on the body, his weight's loaded on one side, then it's just a matter of making him light and finishing the sweep. Okay, so head on the far side underhook, head on the near side underhook with nice tight control, kind of pulling that in, opposing forces. Overhook, okay, make sure you again get the action on the shoulder, kind of driving to the mat and start to attack the base. So we're going to do the same drill we were just working on, pocket drill. And go ahead and just stand. I'm going to play the guard. So now this one is a little more for both of us. So I let Eric get in nice and close. I let him make his box, make his posture. I'm going to start swimming a little bit. Here again, no grips, but I can check in. I'm just not grabbing right now. Neither one of us is going to be too attached. Just keep moving. Now at the point that all of a sudden I sit up, okay, so I make a little space somehow. I get a little contact on his body, like see this foot snuck in, that would be a good example. So I just check him really quick, I scoot back into my upright guard, you're going to come down, okay? And now I'm just going to police my upright guard and get into the butterfly position that we've been working, okay? So as soon as I come in here, okay, come in, good. Now he can either come to me and I look for the opportunity to pummel in, or we're here like this, okay? And all of a sudden I scoot into him. And I just need to be able to get in to essentially my posture here, and I can always adjust after the fact to make a little adjustments with my grip. So I'm going to hit like this. See, now I scoot, now I get in here. Don't sweep. I just want him to start to give me passing pressure. So we're back into the positional maintenance here to make sure I can stay in here. Good. Yeah, see, he's faking like he comes up to fake the guillotine. Okay, make sure I'm nice and straight. I'm attached to him. Okay, move around a little bit. Make sure my hook is active. If he pushes me back, I load him up. I spit him back out again. Okay, stand back up. As soon as he stands up, okay, back in here, play. Good. I give an opportunity to sit up. In. Good. Move. Make sure he doesn't pass. Then I scoot in to get my butterfly position back to play. Does that make sense? So we got a few different phases going on, but it's still going to be very mellow, just by feel. Okay, let's go. Now that we worked on some different ways to, out of the flow, to recover back to butterfly guard from other types of guards, now I want to just focus on this and get the position and the posture maintenance down pat, like we always talk about for all the positions. This is the fluency.
I want everyone to have before we start worrying about the individual techniques or the series. Like if I do this and he does this, then I follow up with this, so on and so forth. We'll break down all the essential elements of the butterfly sweep and then work combos off that, but first I want to just do this. Actually, let's switch for a second. So, we talked about the different grips that we can have. So if John's got one of the position, good. So now from here, I just want to give him energy. I'm going to start off not being too fast or spastic or explosive, but I'm going to give him anywhere between energy I would give him if I'm actually trying to pass the position to kind of unorthodox, just so he's used to feeling whatever. Okay, in other words, like I wouldn't just do this. I brought this up last time if you were here. Like I wouldn't do this, like just throw my arm up here and just jump on him, but I might do it for the purposes of this drill. I know for real he would probably take my back from there, but I'm going to do it just because it may be something you encounter from some person who's got like just crazy, like can do like flips and stuff, like, you know, you just get all these types of energy. So deal with a little bit of everything. The main thing is John's going to try and keep recovering back to his posture. So he's going to track me with the hooks, right? If I try and lose his hooks, okay, from here, he's going to be tracking me, right? If I try and jump up, come around, he's going to recover. Good. He's not actually looking to sweep me. If I fall over, it's kind of my own accord, and he's just kind of like guiding me with his hooks. But the main thing is he's trying to come in here. If I try and dig in, okay, he's going to try and scoot back. Good, good. Get his head back in, right? If I come up and grab it here and come over, sometimes you may have to switch the hook. And if we switch around here, you switch from one side to the other. You don't have to be limited to just, you know, playing off of one side. You could be neutral, left side, right side. The other thing, very common, if I drive him backwards, what he's going to do is load me up over his hips, so now I'm very light, and now he kicks me back out again, right back into position. A lot of times this is a great time to hit the sweep, because I thought I had him flattened out, but he stayed in the ball, loaded my hips, and he spits me back out with his hooks, and right as I'm recovering here, that's a lot of times where he can sweep me if he wanted, right? But right now it's just maintaining the position. So if we switch, okay, so I pick a spot, John's just moving around, and I'm just hook city in here, okay? Sometimes I'm neutral, sometimes I'm over here, okay? I'm not worried about the sweep. Right now I've got the overhook, okay? Just kind of switching, but the main thing is that I don't get past. Keep sitting up. If you feel like you're leaning back all the time, okay, it's either because he's kind of posting up and coming back, in which case I may be actually going for the sweep so I can rock back a little bit, or sometimes it's just I need to put my hand on the mat and adjust it, and then I come back up again, okay? So just playing in there like that. Let me show you guys. If I can illustrate this, go ahead on your knees for me, okay? I want you to feel it. So, what I'm saying, Kev, first of all, we talked about the different grips. If you're somewhere in the middle, so I have my head here, but my arms just kind of like on his back, there's a big pocket of space here that he can use to pummel inside. And if he works his head or his arm in here, I could be in trouble. So I want to think about, okay, from here, like really pinching that in. So I kind of cinch that in, my elbow and my knee are touching. If my head's on the same side or near side of my underhook, here's where I prefer to get kind of like a classic wrestling single underhook. So I'm reaching, grabbing the ball of the deltoid, and I actually pull him in. So you see the give here. Like there's an actual notch where I compromise his shoulder joint, almost like you're starting to put on a kimura. And my head stays in. If I have this, okay, usually my head still kind of underneath his head, but my back is straight. My head is up so he can't reach over and guillotine me. But the beauty of this right now, this sort of classic position, is that as I bring my elbow and my knee together here and I cinch everything in, my shoulder's very, very tight, and it's going to be almost impossible for him to get his head in from here. Really difficult, okay? So just keep that in mind. Second thing we talked about was, if your partner's really bouncing all over the place, is I just get my hand on the knee. I can let go anytime I need to adjust my angle, okay, real quick, put my hand on the mat, but now I'm grabbing that, and that can slow him from jumping around. But the most important thing is this has happened a little bit, so if you do the same thing that John was doing to you, drive me back,
okay? As you drive me back, okay? If I let my back and my knees come apart, you'll crush me, okay? Especially you're bigger than I am. So what I want to do is, as you do it, I keep my knees to my chest, so drive me back. I lift you with my hooks, and then I kick you out, and as I come up, my head is in front of my hips, okay? Because if I kick you and come up here, look what happens. Your head comes in, you flatten me back out again. So just that little extra bit as you get driven back, load them up, kick them out, come all the way up in there, okay? So let's go into, now from here, a little bit of theory on the actual sweeping game, okay? As we're playing this game, you'll notice that at different points, I'm starting to move John offline, and he pulls back, okay? As I feel him start to pull back, here's a time when I can adjust, and I can bring him over that way, okay? If I start to, from here, look, it's just a little travel. I start to come up into him, he pushes back into me, okay? I zone out at an angle instead of falling straight back, and now I put him into the open space, attacking at angles, okay? That's the general theory, and it's going to inform essentially how we're working our initial sweeps. And if we hit those initial sweeps, awesome. If he's able to recover, we have all these other things that we can do. So let's just go into the traditional butterfly sweep and really study some of the different pieces to it. Okay. So again, I've got good posture. Now, if I'm off to the side, okay, playing off as opposed to neutral, what I'm always going to do is need to open up space. A lot of times people will try the sweep here, and John will cheat around, like going to your left a little bit. Okay? He'll cheat around a little bit, and he'll kill my angle, and then they'll stop, or they'll fall to their back. Okay? Instead, if I start this and I feel John adjust, okay, I'll adjust. People are afraid to put their hand out sometimes, but I can do that. So I can really quick move myself. I can come back and grab the arm. I can come in here and get a grip on the pant legs if I have a gi. Okay? I can do all these things so I can maintain that. But what I really want to think about, first off, is get my angle. I'm controlling his arm. Okay? This is a great grip where I can actually pull in and just clamp down my own elbow, and I'm controlling him at the elbow or tricep. I can also get a grip on his wrist, whether it's with the collar or like gi or no gi. I could even grab the wrist itself and stuff it in, take his post away altogether. Whatever I do, I beat his post. And now from here, I can start to go not to my back, but again, towards my shoulder. And you'll notice I never lean away from him. I keep myself tight, and then as I come down, I keep us attached. So I control the center of gravity. He has to come with me. Now, a couple details here. Just like judo trips, you're always trying to get a degree of tilt on the body. Okay? I don't want to try and sweep somebody who's like this. I want to sweep somebody who's like this. So from here, I angle myself out. I control the post. What I want to be doing at the moment before I take him offline and I have my angle is this. Okay, so my heel will go off. I'm going to extend. This is very strong. If I'm neutral at about a 90-degree angle, it's pretty strong. But as I come in here, that's where he'll crush me and he'll kill my hook. So I want to keep this a little bit more than 90 degrees. My knees pointed up so he doesn't smash it. And as I start to come back like this, okay, I keep that constant and I go to my shoulder here, okay, lifting, extension. Once I have that, I'm going to press off my bottom foot to get extra lift, especially if he's a fairly tall guy or he's really good at kicking out, putting his kickstand with his foot out there. So from here, okay, I come, and not just here, but here, okay. Full extension. As I do this, I make sure that I keep my foot somewhere between low to mid thigh, not all the way up in John's groin, because that's where, as I go to sweep, my knee will start to go this way and he'll be able to slide down and crush me. Okay, so I need to keep my legs fanned open so that he starts his rotation. So first thing, just go knee down for me. First thing is I have my grips. If I need to adjust my angle, I scoot out, open up that space. Now you see from here, boom, there's the tilt on his body, the twist. See how his left shoulder's down and his right hip's already coming up? Now from here, as I go down, I lift, good, and I get great extension in here in case he's trying to pop up. Sometimes you'll find that just a little extra lift at the correct angle, I'm going to have you like kind of spider out, like pop up to your foot. If I go here, okay, keep your base, like come up on your left foot. That's it, like really kick your left foot out, keep your base, that's it. So John's doing this, lift, 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 good. Okay, I start to move him up this direction a little bit more. You'll be able to get it. Okay. Watch it again from this angle. So just do the same thing, just keep the base. Okay. So I come up, good, see how he's kicking out? I go a little bit more, kick out that left leg, good. So from here, off my bottom foot, and if I can't quite bring him over his shoulder, I just go a little bit higher. Here. Okay. And the last piece I want you to look at is how I'm landing with my body to avoid being put back in the guard. Okay. This is not incorrect, but I'm going to show you why I'm not as crazy about it. So I sweep and I kick my leg over to side control. But if he's fishing for me, a lot of times from here he can put me back into half guard, okay, at least, or sometimes even get full guard. So what I always prefer to do is to drop my knee over and basically turn this into a knee slide. So from here, lift, good. So as I come down, look, my shoulder lands on him, so I don't have a lot of pressure on my head. My head is posting on the mat to make my legs light, but I'm not coming down hard on my neck. As I come here, my knee is to my chest, so there's no way for him to put me back in the guard. I'm too compact right now. And all I need to do is point my knee over his thigh from here and slide through, and I'm right into a underhook dominating the near side arm, slide right in. Okay, his elbow isn't obstructing me. I can scoot up, turn back into him, whatever I want to do. Okay? So let's just go through that with all those details. And right now I don't want your partner to resist the sweep. We'll get into that later where you start to get a little push-pull game going. But let's just do that right now with all those details. So grips, angle, getting the tilt on the body, okay? So the shoulder's kind of coming down, you're kicking that out. And as you drop down, you keep them attached to you, coming down to your shoulder, not your back, extending off the back leg, extending on the hook leg, and then knee slide to finish. Okay? So from here, thinking about, he's aware of butterfly guard sweeps, for instance. How do I hit them? I want to think of constant moving him off of his base. Okay? Eric is looking for base and posture. I'm looking to violate his base and posture at every opportunity. So from here, instead of just coming in and going for all in on one sweep, just use a little misdirection. So I know that if I'm doing a classic butterfly or wheel sweep or hook sweep, depending on what terms you use, I need to zone out the area that I was just occupying to put him in that space. A lot of times though, guys are going to know. So if we're in here like this, say I come in, so I get my underhook in this case, I'm pulling in this arm. Now, Eric's already starting to hunker back. He knows that I want to put him in this space, right? So maybe I move out, zone, but look, he's starting to hunker back. Like, put your weight back. Yeah, exactly. He knows what's coming. So from here, always think just reverse. So if I can't bring him right into that space from here, now I build a slight base and I start to come up. So you grab his knee here, I go to reverse, okay? If I can bring him right over here, that's awesome, okay? Now if he goes to push back into me, now I zone, and now I'm looking for my sweep. The next thing I want to do is kind of go into some of the most common problem-solving ways to hit variations, because it's not that you're doing the sweep wrong, it's just simply that your partner's going to be aware of it. Like I said, if you're setting your grips and getting an angle, they kind of, okay, well, butterfly sweep's coming. And even if you pick off their arm and take their post away, they're going to be adjusting their weight and what they're doing with their body, either early as you get started or sometimes even midstream in the sweep. So you have to be able to adapt to that. So, can I grab you? So one of the things from here is very, very simple, is when I come in here like this, I get my position, I trap him and we may be in a little fight for the hand, right? He doesn't want me to get it, but I do get it. Okay, maybe I don't pull it in here, but I kind of get it, so I bring it to him, and now, regardless, there's no post. Okay, however I do that is solid. So now he knows that he has no post, so what he might do is sort of sprawl back with his weight a little bit like this. Yeah, he's kind of hunkering down. So now if I go here, okay, don't let me do it. Okay, like he's got so much weight back in his butt that he's just leaning away from the technique, right? He knows where I'm trying to put him, right? So I still kick out his leg, I still try and get some tilt, okay? I go here and he's solid. So all I'm gonna do from here is just move myself away a little bit and put my foot here. Very similar to how you adapt to a scissor sweep if somebody makes their base really wide. So all I'm going to do from here is a little push, and I bring it over exactly the same. Little adjustment of my hand, and I slide through. Okay. So you notice it's a very slight variation of my posture. I don't want to lean back from here. That's one of the common mistakes, because if I do everything else right, hand fight, okay, stretch him out, he puts his weight back, and right now you'll notice that to put my foot on top of his knee as he hunkers back, I've got to move myself a little bit. But if I do this, look, he just put his head in, he's going to separate me. Separate my knees from my chest. So from here I get everything ready. I feel like it's not there, so I keep him with me. My head stays constant. Just a slight lean, put my foot here, and now his hips are light again. Everything else is the same. Okay? Let's go ahead and do that one first. So, now, without having benefit of the arm, the only thing Ryan has left is his leg. So I want you guys, assuming everything else is still good, my posture's still good, I'm not leaning back and let him get in there, I keep him attached to me, I get tilt on his body, so on and so forth. Now, he puts his foot up and he's going to be hopping. That's why I want to be able to hop too. And this can go wrong in a couple areas. One, of course, is your angle. One is if I have only a token grip on his hand and he can still kind of post with it. But the most important ones when I do those things is that if I, again, let my foot come up into his groin, that's where I'm going to lose it. And you may not do it at this point. This is what I want everybody to realize. You may feel good here, but as I start to sweep, I let my knee go this way, and as he's hopping, he finds a moment to slide down, to like a landslide with his hips. He slides down it, and I, at some point, let that wheel kind of turn into a board, okay? And that's where he'll get me. So I need to make sure that my knees stay open and hooked. You don't have to be super Gumby flexible with your hips, but you need to make sure that you really try and keep that knee pointed out and my ankle and toes pointed out, okay? Low down as I can on his leg, because it will slide a little bit. But if I start up here or I let it slide all the way up into, again, that speedo zone, then I'm kind of already behind the 8-ball. So knowing that it will move a little bit and it may not be perfect in real time when he's resisting me, I want to try and have it down low to begin with and really feel the contact on his thigh. Okay? And the other thing we talked about is being able to hop on my foot too, so I can keep fighting for the angle to hit him with the sweep. Because if I just go up and then I stay dead and he hops, he'll get ahead of me with the angle. Okay? So we get up here, so I start to come up on my foot a little bit, but he got me, right? Like I came up and he hopped ahead of me a little bit, and then I let my knee point in. Okay? So instead what I want to do is get up there. He's keeping his base. I stay nice and fanned open, and now I'm going to hop on my bottom ball of the foot until I find the spot to sweep. Okay? So from here, you see the hop? That's what I want you guys to do. Okay? After a while, you won't even think about it, but if you don't develop that skill set, you kind of get stuck in one place and then he can beat you. Okay? So again, I kind of hung there for a little bit and emphasized my foot so you guys could see it. Good? All right. Let's try that. So as the demo partner right now, your whole job is, once you get swept to one side, is just to just to do that, just to put your foot out and try and keep your base so you don't get put into the open spot. But don't try and do anything else. You're not trying to pass, you're not trying to leap over the guy or anything. Just try and keep your base. Let your partner adjust the angle and go for the sweep. The only other thing you can do aside from keep your base is if you feel the foot, the hook, slide too far up into your groin, is you can windshield wiper down it. So you let your partner know with your body. You turn that from a boxer brief into a Speedo. Okay? Let's do it. He posts with his foot. He doesn't have his arm. He doesn't really give me the window to be able to do the duck under movement that we just did. And the reason why he doesn't give me that window is because he doesn't really come out with this arm, right? So that's something I always have to be aware of. So if he kind of keeps that a little bit more down low, he's more aware of it, he's able to sort of just use his foot on the mat and maybe even have his head touch down or something to keep his balance. Then sometimes really what I have to do is switch and go the other direction. The problem is if you let your hook go down or what have you, there's a lot of times when people go to make the switch and they lose a couple details in there, and your partner, like, as I get up here, I want to roll him this way because I feel like all my other efforts, I'm doing everything else as best as I can, but I can't bring him over. Now we go to switch and you see this a lot. So see what happens to my posture? I sort of collapse myself, and as I try and roll him over now, he just flattens out like a spider, right? So that's super common. And what we need to do is just pay attention to a couple pieces of this so I can kind of keep him stretched out, opened up. So when I switch my hips underneath him and open up that space, he has to fall into it because he doesn't have a post. All right, so let's take a look. So I come in here. Again, make sure I get my angle as I come up. Good. So I come in here. Now, right now he keeps his arm a little bit lower. His left arm, like he's kind of aware. Maybe he feels my intention to come under, so he keeps that elbow locked down. He might even be grabbing down on my gi or something like that. So from here, what I want to do, when I make my switch, first of all, I really have to sell my energy this way. Second of all, I need to, again, extend this leg, because as soon as I drop it, okay, he's going to kill it with his hips. So I keep this leg extended, and at the same time, I'm going to really extend this arm, almost like we did on the duck under, but even if you lock down low on my body, good. I just need to get this up high enough from here that I separate his leg from his armpit, okay? So I'm in here like this. Now I come, and at the same time, I'm going to grab inside his knee and scoot. And now what you see is, as we come over, my kicking out of the leg and extending of my elbow. Okay, sometimes I'll actually shoot this up here. Sometimes if I have like the back of his jacket or his belt, I'll do this motion again. But I open up. Okay, he kind of wants to be here with base. I open this side up like this, so he's too spread out. So when I switch my hips underneath him, then all I need is that hand to just kind of guide him over, and I wind up in side control. Okay. So a couple details in there make all the difference. Right. Once we get our partner going in one direction, already know that if he bases out with the arm on your underhooking side, you can take it back. Now let's look at the situation where you've really tried to bring him over. He's kind of locked down on your arm, so he's not letting you pop out the back. So what do? I may have to sweep him in the other direction, do a reverse butterfly sweep. And a lot of times people will kind of fail on this. They try and pull their partner to the other side, they roll onto their back. The next thing you know, their partner kind of comes down into a smash pass type of position. So that's what I want to avoid. So there's a couple details that will make this work. So this time, as I elevate you, just kind of put that kind of overhook on this side, just basing on this leg. So I come in here, I start getting everything going. As I come up, I've tried to sweep, can't quite do it. So first thing is, I need to keep that extension we've been talking about on this leg. I need to stay in boxer brief territory, and I need to keep that leg opened up. Second thing I need to do is shot put this arm up, because even though Jeff has a whizzer on my arm right now, so I can't pop out and take his back, I can still keep it clear so that he can't lock down and put his arm out for base when I start to take him this way. So open up that side. Now I'm going to scoot underneath Jeff, and on the way through, I just grab his knee here. Swoop through, guide that knee over, until I can come in and get my knee or my hip into his hip to make sure he can't recover guard. You notice that this hand and the inside of his knee is just a helper, just to steer the cylinder away from me so that the moment I come on the side control, he's not already scooting his hips away and getting his knees in for a pass. So I'll land up in here. Let's look at that from the other side. Start to scoot. Keep this opened up. Now I have to open up the arm. Make sure he can't just get base. If I do this, I collapse everything. So I go here. Now there's no base for him to take. Completely open up that side. Make it so that as you start to sweep, the hand can't just go here. Okay? You take the leg out, and now the hand has to be sort of up here, plenty of space for you to move him into by stretching that out.